Hey Facebook, it's Friday Night Live. I'm Debbie Hatch. Tonight I want to talk to you about the average age that people retire and why that might be so. So obviously you've got a clue just looking at the title and looking at my title screen that it's got something to do with age 62, right? So the average age that people in the United States retire is 62. The average age that federal employees retire is 61. My question is, should it also be 62? We're going to talk about why maybe somebody's going to think about 62 instead of 61 tonight. Active duty military members on average retire at 43. They don't have an age requirement. They have to do 20 years to be able to retire, so that's why it's younger. With people that are retiring from the reserves, normally not able to collect their pension until they're 60, sometimes a little bit sooner based on deployment time. But we can see that the average age then across the board is 60, 61, and 62. What is that all about? Well, number one, maybe one reason that federal employees aren't retiring at 62 is because they don't have to. Federal employees can retire under FERS or CSRS once they hit an age and length of service criteria. And there's 8 different ways that people can retire. So the first way is called voluntary. And with that, if the person is 55 to 57. It depends on whether they're the old system, the new system. It depends on the year that they were born. But 55 to 57 with 30 years of creditable service, they can retire. 60 or older with 20 years or more of creditable service, they can retire. 62 or older with 5 years of credible service, they can retire. Now, there are some provisions if the agency is offering an early out where they could leave at 50 with 20 or any age with 25. If the person has a discontinued service retirement, it's that same thing, 50 with 20, any age with 25. Special provision employees, which include federal law enforcement officers, firefighters, air traffic controllers, can go at 50 with 20, any age with 25. Now, there are some other options that we have available. One that's called MRA plus 10, which would allow the federal employee to retire with at least 10 years of creditable service if they were at their minimum retirement age. And for a disability, it requires 18 months of creditable service with no specific age under FERS and 5 years or more of creditable service with no specific age under CSRS. So we become eligible for our retirements in our 50s. That might be one reason that we're not staying until 62, because we're eligible. Well, why are we looking at 61? Well, maybe I hit my minimum retirement age. For me personally, it's 56. And at 56, I was like, oh, it feels really nice to know that I could retire if I want to, but I'm not actually ready to pull the plug yet. And then 57 comes and 58 comes and 59 comes, and then I go, maybe I should be thinking about it. I'm going to start that new decade. Maybe that is a clean break where I'm, starting this new decade, I'm a year in, and I go, okay, now it's time. Now it's time for me to go on with my, the rest of my life. But my question is, while federal employees don't have to wait until they're 62, should they? And one of the reasons that I asked that question is because our pension is calculated by multiplying the creditable service by our high 3 average salary by a formula. And different ways of retiring have different formulas. CSRS is one, FERS is different, special provisions is one. If you're not special provisions, it's different. Disability is one. If you're not going on a disability, it's different. But under FERS, which is the federal employees retirement system that's been in place since 1983, the formula changes to once I'm 62 or older, as long as I have 20 years of creditable service at that time. So I need both of those things. I've got to be at least 62 and I've got to have at least 20 years. But if both of those things are true, then my retirement is calculated at 1.1% times the high 3 instead of just 1% times the high 3. So we can look at the numbers and see how much of an impact they have. I've got a couple of examples here on this one slide. It's a FERS individual with 25 years of creditable service and a high 3 of $67,833. Now I'm going to apply the formula based upon how old the person is now, because they've got over 20 years. They've got 25, right? So in the middle of the slide, you can see the person going under 62 is going to get the 1%. So 1% times 25 years is 25% of the high 3 average salary. That person's pension is $16,958 a year. But if this same person with 25 years decided to stay until they were 62 before they retire, then they get the 1.1. So 1.1 times 25 years is 27.5% of the high 3, and that's going to bring the retirement up to $18,654 a year. We can divide by 12 to get the monthly. Now, I'm not saying that they should wait until they're 62. I'm saying that this is definitely something to consider when I'm making the decision. If I go at my MRA of 56 and I have 30 years, not only will I get my pension, but I'll also get something that's called the FERS supplement for a temporary amount of time. I'd get it from my MRA until I have my 62nd birthday, but I would have retired under the 1%, versus if I wait until I'm 62, I get the 1.1%, but I don't get that FERS supplement. Again, that's for a finite amount of time, though. It does go away. So you need to look at the financial benefit of getting that supplement for a couple of years or waiting to get the 1.1% multiplier. If you've been following me for a little while, you also know that I firmly believe that retirement can't just be about the money. You have to consider your quality of life. You have to consider what else you want to do with your life besides working. Who do you want to spend time around, and can you do that while you're working in your job? Sometimes people will make a decision to retire because they can't afford it. Sure, if they keep working, they're going to get more money. That's always going to be the case. But they've decided that they can get by on what they have, and they're okay not working to get additional money. And that's fair, right? Life is short. You have to think about that too. Yes, you want money to live on in retirement, but do you want to, example, spend another 2 years working between 60 and 62 so that you can get the 1.1 multiplier? Maybe, maybe not. Now at the bottom of this, I had the firefighters and law enforcement officers. That's 1.7% for a maximum of 20, and 1% for everything over the top of 20, even if they are 62. They don't ever get the 1.1% multiplier, so we didn't talk about that. And for CSRS people, it has nothing to do with age either. They have a standard formula that isn't going to change once they're 62, so I just didn't talk about that. We talked about the fact that federal employees might be retiring under 62 because they can, right? They might stay because they'll get a bigger pension if they do. They might retire under 62 because they have access to their thrift savings program, the federal government's loosely equivalent to a 401k, as long as they are in the year that they'll turn 55 or older when they retire or separate from the federal government. Now, this might be a surprise to you because a lot of people think it's 59 and a half. It is for a traditional IRA. And a lot of times we talk about TSP as if it's an IRA, but it isn't. It's an eligible employer account. So as long as we are in the year, which means we don't even have to be 55 yet, we're in the year that we're going to turn 55 or older before we retire or separate. We have full access. We pay regular income taxes, but we don't have the 10% penalty. And for the employees that are covered under special provisions, it's 50 or older that they can access their thrift without that 10% penalty. So we have access to this, whereas other people, if they do have an IRA, are waiting until they're 59 and a half or older before they can touch it without a penalty. So that might cause them to retire a little bit later than a federal employee might choose to retire. I think one reason that a lot of people look at their early 60s is because of their Social Security. Now, our full retirement age for Social Security ranges from 66 to 67 in so many months. It depends on the year that we were born. Regardless, though, of what our full retirement age is for Social Security, we are all eligible to draw as young as 62. If we sign up under our full retirement age, we're going to have a financial penalty, and that will be permanent for the rest of our lives. So we might want to or not, but we can, at 62, access our Social Security. That's a topic for another night. We've talked about it a couple of times already, and I definitely do need to talk about it again, just so that people understand how it works. For now, I'm just saying I could get it at 62 if I want to. It does come with a financial penalty, and yes, that's permanent for the rest of my life. Another reason that people might consider retiring 61, 62 is that our Medicare Part B premiums are based upon our earnings from 2 years prior to when we sign up. So Medicare has 4 parts to it. Part A is inpatient services. You're paying a payroll tax for that right now. There's no premium for it. Part B is outpatient, in the part that pays the doctor's bill. You're not paying for that right now. That's as a premium later. Part C is Medicare Advantage. Part D is Medicare's prescription drug coverage. Part B and D have a premium that is based upon our earnings from 2 years prior to signing up for Medicare. And we don't become eligible for Medicare normally until we're 65. There are some exceptions to that, but typically we've got to be 65. So if I'm signing up for that at 65, and you can see the rates are going to run from $148.50 a month to $504 a month, depending on what my income was 2 years ago. If I'm signing up at 65, then what I have for income at 63 matters. If I'm still working and making really good money at 63, but come 65, I've already retired, they set my rates based on what I was making in 63. Same thing if I make a large withdrawal from my IRA or from my traditional TSP, because that counts as taxable wages in the year that I make that withdrawal, it can have an impact on what I'm going to have to pay for my Medicare Part B or Part D premiums. Now, I can, if I've had a change in life events like that, I was making all of this money because I'm working and I'm not making it anymore because I'm retired now, I can go to the Social Security Administration and ask them to review my price. I will have to do that. They don't do that automatically for me, and I would have to know to do that. So I don't have to agree to this higher price just because I was working a couple of years ago, but it is definitely something that I need to be aware of, right? Something that I know I need to do if I've had some kind of a change in my price. So there we go. I think this might be like one of only 3 times I've ever kept to the 20 minutes. I'm super excited about that. If you have some reasons why you think people are retiring at 61 or 62, I would love to hear them. What age are you thinking about retiring? Are you going to stick around for the extra 0.1? Or are you going to say it's okay and just leave at the 1%? Let me know. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions for things that you would like for me to talk about later, please drop them in the comments here or go to the website and let me know. Kathy Denny, how are you? I haven't seen you on here forever. All right, everyone, I am hopping off. Thank you so much for stopping by. Take care of yourself. Have a fantastic weekend. Kathy, it's so great to see you.